Hello and welcome back to Jacob's Toys 5-minute figure reviews. Please do like, share, subscribe and all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. In this video we are taking a look at the Marvel Legends Disney Plus wave Hawkeye. This is Hawkeye obviously from the TV show, so let's crack him open and take a look. Now this of course is Clint Barton from the TV show on Disney Plus, Hawkeye. Now I'm a huge Hawkeye fan and I've loved the story arc, the character arc of Hawkeye, so this figure I was very excited about. You get two alternate hands like the closed fist hands, you get his bow of course because he's an archer, and of course you get his sheath that goes on his back, or is it a quill that has the arrows in? I think it's a quill, that goes on his back. And of course as well you get a Build-A-Figure piece, so you get the Infinity Ultron left arm, but I will look at that in a different video. As I said, I'm a huge Hawkeye fan, Clint Barton fan, so I really enjoyed the TV show to be honest with you, and I've got to say that this head sculpt is brilliant. It's easily the best Clint Barton that we've had, Jeremy Renner head sculpt that we've had, and it's got all the little details like the plasters and the cuts that he has throughout the show. This is him in his superhero costume, should we say. He's got the butterfly joints there in his shoulders. And we didn't see this costume very much in the show. I think it was the last episode, or maybe the last two episodes. No, it's the last episode. But it's very reminiscent of some of the comic book costumes that we've seen him in. So I'm really pleased that the team at Marvel Legends decided to go for the costume look as opposed to the civilian look, because for the majority of the show he was in more of a civilian attire and it would have been very easy for him to have just done the head sculpt and put that on a civilian body. But I'm really pleased that they went sort of that extra bit and gave us the actual Hawkeye in his costume. This is easily the best Hawkeye figure that we've had in recent years, and Hawkeye seems to be a character that's a little bit overlooked. I'm not going to lie, the Hawkeye figures that we've had in the past aren't all that great. We've had a couple earlier ones with the Avengers kind of films. We had one with the Ronin film, we had the Quantum Suit 2-pack, and of course we've got this one as well. I think that's all of the ones that we had. There was two looks that we had back in the day, the earlier ones. We had one with sunglasses and one without, and they weren't that bad for the time. I actually thought the head sculpt was quite good on them, but I will pull those out and have a look at them in a bit. But there was two looks, there was one with sunglasses and one without. Now this is a very basic pose, but because you've got an open hand and you've got a like a holding hand, you can have it so that it looks like he's, you know, retrieving an arrow and getting ready to fire the arrow. Or of course you can mess around with the butterfly joints and put him in more of an action pose as if he's just fired the arrow. So I think overall I'm going to have a lot of fun with this figure, posing him around and putting him in some shots and putting him in some action shots as well. But as I said, the added articulation does make the difference because he's an archer at the end of the day, so you need to be able to get those arms into some realistic looking poses as opposed to some of the more basic poses that we put him in the earlier days. So this pose here is just a little bit reminiscent of that early Avengers poster where he's kind of ready. But let's pull in a couple of the others. So this is the Ronin figure, unmasked of course, because I've taken the hood and the masked head off. And this is the earlier version that I told you about with the sunglasses. So this is the sunglasses version. Now, being completely transparent, I really liked the Ronin head sculpt. I thought it was a really good head sculpt. But when you look at this new one, it is definitely an upgrade. And what's really bizarre is that it actually looks like three different people, which is a good thing because it's three very different periods of Clint Barton's life. And as you can see here, there's not much articulation on the early model, and it's got those horrible ball joints in the legs as well, which I absolutely hate. But you know, enough said about that. The less said about that, the better. What's another real nice touch is this is a new design bow. We've seen the same bow rolled out with every single Hawkeye figure so far, and we've now finally got a new bow. So this is definitely the more superior Hawkeye. If you don't have a Hawkeye in your collection, I would highly recommend picking this one up and adding him to your collection, either as part of the Avengers or alongside Kate Bishop. As you can see here, another figure in the wave that I do look at in a separate video, and you can have the Hawkeye TV show set up, or you could easily get this Hawkeye and put him into an Avengers setup or an Avengers shelf. Although the costume, you know, would be a little bit out of date or a little bit ahead of the time, I think it still would work really nicely. But overall I think this is a really solid figure, and from a wave of figures that was a very good wave of figures when it had characters like Moon Knight and She-Hulk and Miss Marvel, there was a lot of good characters in this wave. This one still stands, you know, up the top. So yeah, overall a really, really nice figure. What I do find quite peculiar is for a figure that is so nice, they didn't actually show us any real product pictures. The only images we saw of these for a long time were the digital renders, and I think that they didn't do them justice when you compare the digital renders to the actual figure in hand. It's a really decent figure. So yeah, you can pick him up in most places, and it's a relatively new wave, so you can still go and get your hands on him at retail. So I highly recommend you do so if you're a fan of Hawkeye or the Avengers. Do check out my page for some other 5-minute figure reviews from this wave. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and all of those things, and I'll see you soon.